Is it not good? No?
I swallowed it.
I just gave him some gum that was pretty old. What am I looking at?
I swallowed it.
We're just waiting for the babysitter to get here, which is Dad. So we should be seeing him pretty shortly. And then we will be headed to the woods a little early because I am making a push into an area that's probably going to be holding some deer. So I'm going to finish getting dressed while we wait for the babysitter.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you? It's 88 degrees outside. It's really hot, not 88, it's 80. 82? It's really hot.
I can see your
What's
eyes.
up, Bunny? Look at your screen. Is that Grandpa?
Yes.
Where
I'm
are you?
recording you guys. This is my husky shirt of the year.
Wow!
I am walking to the daddy who is in charge of the camera. Here you go.
Thank you.
Oh, my arm's so sore from holding it.
Alright, it's not an extremely long walk, but you see how sunny it is and how hot it is. You can't see how hot it is, but believe me, it's hot. 2nd of October, 80 degrees. It's like I'm back in North Dakota. So last night we sat not too far from where I'm walking by, but all the deer came out basically in the area we're going. It's a spot I call the Island, and 7 bucks came out of there. I think the big 8-point that I would shoot came out of there. I think it was him, but we're gonna try and sneak down in there. The bad thing is they could be bedded right where my preset is, and I gotta sneak up the river, in the river, sneak up, kind of peek, look. I don't know, find out. I think we'll be okay, but if I bump them, I guess. We'll find out, but that's where we're going. Screw in the battery and all that kind of jazz with one hand. I dropped the cap into the water, and I don't know if that set him off or my thermals pulled up to him because this river's not flowing that hard, but he just boogered off a little bit. He's probably still right there just wondering what the heck that was. And there's a phone up there on the ridge too. Been in the tree now for about 45 minutes. As a recap, I accidentally stalked up a super nice 9 that was bedded in the river. I mean, he wasn't in the water. There was a little bit of a rise right where he was bedded. He was nice, and I definitely would have shot him. I couldn't get my rangefinder to work, so I'm fiddle farting around trying to take the battery out, put it back in, and I dropped the freaking cap in the water, and that's what alerted him. Ended up he was at 30 yards. I wouldn't say the hunt's ruined when something like that happens. would say the hunt's already been made. That was very fortunate to be able to sneak up on something that nice and in its natural setting. Have eyes on it for a few minutes, even though I sweat my butt off. But okay, so it was pretty much exactly what I anticipated. Was I was going into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Huh. I don't know exactly what that buck was. It was a 9-point. I'm sorry I couldn't get more footage of it on my phone or on the main camera. And I thought my 360 camera was extended a little higher than what it was. Is what it is when you're trying to do a bunch of self-filming. But it was almost 6-7 minutes I was by that deer, and I couldn't get my freaking rangefinder to work. Kept hitting it. Well, I wasn't even hitting it. I was trying to unscrew the bottom cap, and I dropped the cap, and that's kind of what alerted him because it fell off a stick or something. And then he boogered off, and finally, to get the rangefinder working, I had to whack it. I don't know what I did to it. It's a brand new rangefinder. So that was a really cool experience. Heart was just a going. But I think the biggest takeaway from this, like, I knew I was going into the thick of it, but number one, your entrance is important when you're going to high populated areas or even low populated areas. And number two is don't be discouraged if you happen to bump a deer. Even in those lower populated areas, you still have that chance of something else showing up afterwards. And by the time I got into the tree, I'd already seen another spike and a doe while I was climbing. And then as soon as we got in the tree, there was 6 or 7 does and maybe some small bucks that I couldn't see for sure on the edge of the thick stuff. And a few does come through in the evening, like the night was still active. And the trail camera showed all the deer just went to the other side last night. Or, you know, they didn't come the way they did the other night. And that is what it is sometimes. You can't, people try to think deer are super smart and you can pattern them down to a T. You have your best guesstimation of how deer are going to react and how deer are going to use the topography and use the woods and what they're going to do the next day. I've got my own theories on patterns of deer, but nothing is rock solid with a wild animal. You don't know if a coyote slipped through. You don't know if there was pressure from another hunter. You don't know if they just were like, well, instead of eating this night over here, I feel like going this way. Or if the wind makes a difference. So don't let some small things discourage you in your hunt. Take all those little things that are a part of the hunt and use that to keep you motivated. So the biggest two things is, one, your entrance into the thick of it is important. And you should take that under consideration anytime you're going into the spot. And then number two is, if something screws up, it's not the end of the world. You still have a chance at something else or enjoying everything else that surrounds that hunt. The leaves changing in the sun, the squirrels running around burying their cache for the winter and spring, the other deer that may show up. I mean, I had wood ducks floating down the river that were absolutely beautiful. I examined the bark on the tree because it's so intricate and the pattern is just unique. There's so much we can take advantage of just by being there. Being out in the woods, being in God's creation. So take those two things home with you. I'm going to go back out, not tomorrow, but the next night. I got a good feeling about it. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching this episode. Always appreciate you. I gotta go hunt 2 days. I'm gonna hunt in 2 days, then we're going to Indiana. I'll see you later. I don't know what this is, but it's something. Shaka. Ah, skeet, skeet. Yeet. See ya.